Good afternoon, everyone. You can hear me okay? I want to welcome everyone here for this exciting kickoff for our 2015 Year of Interfaith Service. I assume you've all seen the Sunday paper, the front page story about this. We're so pleased that our partners at Grand Rapids Press gave us another front page story. That's really great. I'm so happy to have all of you here. Now, I recognize that today is 9/11. In fact, we planned this to be on 9/11. And I recognize that there are people at the Ford Museum and elsewhere who are primarily focusing on remembering the victims and the heroes of that awful day. And that certainly is appropriate. And we do that as well here. But we also believe, as we did in 2012, that it's not enough just to remember. It's also important to plan for communities and for organizations and for a nation and for a world that's focused on peace. And that peace comes through understanding. And we believe after our very successful 2012 Year of Interfaith Understanding with over 300 events, we believe that it's not enough just to talk. It's time to move to the next step, a step of action. And we say a step of service. So we're happy to invite you to this 2015 Year of Interfaith Service. We've spent time getting to know each other in the last few years. I'm so excited that we have such a good variety of people at our session today. The religious traditions have focused on love of neighbor and selfless service and repairing the world. Every tradition has that. And also we're happy to have with us members of the Grand Rapids secular community who also share that interest in doing what's right for our common humanity. And they are going to be joining us in the service activities, and we're very pleased that they're with us as well. We recognize that we have all of this in common and that we want to support each other. I also want to recognize the clergy that are here, because the clergy set the tone for a community and for the congregations. And particularly, I'm pleased this is a predominantly Christian community, and there are a number of Christian clergy here, and I'm not going to recognize all of them, but I would like to recognize Rabbi Shaddick from Temple Emmanuel, and Imam Shabzada and Imam Redzik from the two of the mosques in our community. We're so pleased that we have the diversity of religion and the diversity of people interested in service. So to represent the Christian community and to bring us a welcome from our host here at the Catholic Information Center is Father John Gainey, who is the director of the Catholic Information Center and the rector of St. Andrew's Cathedral.
Hey, y'all. You were being so very solemn here. I thought, wow. But I did notice, can we say a prayer? Would that hurt anybody? I don't think so. Try that. Huh? Allah, Elohim, Lord God, we ask you to bless us as we gather for this year of service. Help us always to be mindful of your many gifts to us, particularly the gift of peace and mercy. We pray to you, and we ask you to bless all of us. And they all said, Amen. On behalf of Bishop Wakowiak, who could not be here today, and of all our brothers and sisters here at the Catholic Information Center and this whole diocesan building, we want to welcome you here. I heard a number of you say, gee, this is the first time I've been here. Amen? How many of you are here for the first time? Well, I would not. Ooh, see, that's a lot of folk that are getting here only for the first time. And I would invite you to visit the Catholic Information Center, which is right down the corridor here. Somebody asked me earlier, did we have Starbucks coffee around here? And I said, no, not Starbucks, but Catholic Information Center coffee. So you can go right on down there and get the same kind of thing, a little music in the air, a little coffee, a little things to eat and all that good stuff. The only difference between us and Starbucks is our coffee is absolutely cheap because it's free. So, y'all come on down and be there for us. So my role really is to welcome all of us, to help us all to be aware of the need for continuing education and awareness of what brings us together as interfaith communities. we are, in our Catholic tradition, very aware, because of the Second Vatican Council, of the fact that we are called, all of us together, to be a people of concern and love for one another. And we show a great deal of that concern and love when we take the time to do things for other people. When we build a house for somebody else, that really does help them. When we feed them, that helps them. When we help them to understand that they are human beings, as we all are, that helps all of us to be better people. So I'm looking forward to this year of service, and we want you all to know, and Doug and the mayor, that we are at the Catholic Information Center ready to host and help in any way that we can. And at the cathedral, which is my other post, we have lots of folks that are willing to dig in and get things done. In fact, are already doing many of those things, as I'm sure all of your communities are doing the same. So that the key here for all of us, I believe, is the recognition that in all our faiths, as Doug mentioned just a tad earlier, we have the golden rule, that we want to help others because that's what we'd want for ourselves if we were in that same situation. So with those thoughts and that awareness, I will pass this baton on to the mayor.
All right.
And we all know who he is.
I'll take the baton.
All right. Good idea.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Father G, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It was in 2011 that Doug Kinchy and David Bach approached me and said, we're thinking about doing this Year of Interfaith Understanding. What do you think? Well, while I was enthusiastic and supportive and happy to lend whatever significance there is to the office of the mayor, I could not have imagined the impact that year had on not only on this community. I was down speaking at a Louisville Presbyterian Seminary's commencement exercises that year in 2000. So they knew all about it. They'd heard all about it. How did you do it? What did you do? Wow. And so it has had enormous impact across this city and around the country. To follow it up now with a year of interfaith service is, well, it's just very appropriate, isn't it? We've gotten to know one another, and maybe in some new ways. We've met some people of other faith traditions that we didn't know before. We've perhaps had the opportunity to worship in their house of worship. We've had a chance to break bread together. And now we have a chance to work together. We have a chance to roll up our sleeves and do good work. And I think that when we, as Father Gainey said so well, when we're serving those who are in need, when we're serving those who are suffering, we can put away doctrinal differences, ideological differences. We're just God's people helping God's people, and that's what this is all about. I have a proclamation because that's what mayors are all about, right? A proclamation. So, whereas Grand Rapids has a rich history of faith, beginning with the spiritual traditions of the Three Fires Native Americans, then the generations of immigrants and their faiths from early Catholic, Jewish, and Reformed settlers to today's Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and secular groups. And whereas the Grand Rapids area enjoys a strong tradition of religious public cooperation in which people of faith have played a prominent role in our civic life and culture and the delivery of vital human services. And whereas West Michigan's religious landscape has diversified dramatically, raising the challenges and opportunities of an increasingly interfaith community and creating an ever greater need for understanding and cooperation among faith groups. And whereas members of congregations of faith, educational institutions, and community organizations came together in 2012 for the Year of Interfaith Understanding. Now, therefore, I, George K. Heartwell, Mayor of the City of Grand Rapids, do hereby proclaim the year 2015 as the Year of Interfaith Service in Grand Rapids and urge all citizens to learn and seek understanding of the rich diversity of our community and participate in acts of service. Let's have a powerful year together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. The rest of the program, we're going to talk about service. And the first phase of this are going to be a couple of examples of where there are service needs. We're going to hear from Mark Hoagland-Hand from Habitat for Humanity, and from Stuart Ray, who's the Director of Guiding Light Mission. These are just two examples, but it's the beginning of what we hope will be dozens of organizations that come together and help us put together the people who want to serve and the needs that are in our community. So Mark and Stuart, you're up next.
Thank you so much for allowing Habitat to be here today and address you. On this particular day in September 11th, to look out at a crowd of you is really a beautiful thing. And so it's very inspiring, and I'm very appreciative that you allow Habitat to be here. I thought to start off, I should probably give you a little bit of a history of Habitat. And I thought about reading the, kind of the marketing speak that gets on our websites and things like that. And so, but Habitat was born in the South, and as a kind of a Southern-born organization, we love to tell stories. So I thought I'd tell you a story to kind of give you a snapshot of who Habitat is and our culture. So this story takes place in the late 80s, and it takes place in Southern California. The founder of Habitat, Millard Fuller, was at a job site. And if you don't know, Habitat is a nonprofit housing organization. It's ecumenically Christian, and we build houses with volunteer labor and then sell those houses to deserving families who have worked alongside those volunteers in getting the house built. And the house is sold at a 0% interest loan. So anyway, that's what happens. And every morning the volunteers get together, and a prayer was offered. And then Millard had to go to another meeting while the volunteers got busy with their carpentry tasks. And a man came up to him and said, I'm an atheist, and I felt uncomfortable during that prayer, and I'm not sure I'm welcome at this organization on this build site. And I won't do it, but imagine a person with a southern drawl and a tall gentleman and a wry sense of humor said, well, show me your hands, please. And so the man showed him his hands, and he said, yeah, those will fit a shovel. That'll work. You're welcome here. And then he went on to say, why don't you go back and help? And if somebody starts talking about God or Jesus, just put some cotton in your ears. And I love that story for two reasons. One is that it shares what Habitat does, is that we're a volunteer organization, and we cannot do what we do without volunteers. And the other thing that it explains is a little bit about Habitat's culture. And that's a culture of pragmatism over ideology, a culture of love and action over doctrine. And so how does that work itself out on a job site? Right now across the nation, there are thousands of job sites going on. Right now in Kent County, we have 5 going on right this second. So how does that work out on a Habitat job site, this culture and this ideology that is open to all, as long as you're willing to grab a shovel? Well, you might find on any given day on our job sites a company that has come in and has reserved that job site as a team building thing for its employees. So there's no religious endeavor or ideology behind it. It's simply team building. You might be on a job site that was sponsored by there's a picture on a brochure out there that I'd like you to grab at the end. Sponsored by a collection of Catholic churches, and the home buyer happens to be a Muslim family from East Africa. You might encounter a gentleman who gives away hundreds of hours of his volunteer every day, whom I stopped one time and said, well, why did you ever get involved with Habitat? Why do you volunteer so much? And he said, well, I worked at General Motors for 35 years, and 2 weeks after I retired, my wife, I came downstairs, and there on the kitchen table, my wife had put out brochures from all the volunteer opportunities of the whole city. And he said, well, that looks good. I'll take Habitat. And that's why he worked at Habitat for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Or you might encounter a gentleman from the Christian Reformed Church who spray painted several houses all by himself. And when I encountered him, I asked him one time, why do you work at Habitat? And he said, well, I retired. I spent so many years in Africa on relief efforts and this and that. And he looked at me and he wouldn't say anything else, but I said, well, why is he? He said, well, my life has been impacted deeply by Matthew 25, which is a verse in the Bible that says, essentially, you'll be judged as you treat the poor. So anyway, there's a wide spectrum of experiences, a wide spectrum of motivations at Habitat. And for the last several years, Habitat Kent County has been fledgling in our efforts to try to develop an interfaith program. Across the country, Habitat, and around the world, Habitat operates in more in interfaith environments all the time. Doug mentioned, remembrance of 9/11 events. Well, today, there's many affiliates all over the country that are doing 9/11 events, building a house with interfaith groups. One of the daughters, who's now grown up, of one of the people on the jet of Flight 93, she's at a Habitat worksite today in Los Angeles. So anyway, we've been working at that and trying to do that, and the response is growing. Every year it's been growing. So it's a beautiful thing. It's one that we're very open to and we're excited about. This weekend, 30 individuals will be out. Hindu, Muslim, people from who are secular. I'm going to forget somebody. Anyway, we're all coming out to work on a Habitat site, and it's going to be a great thing. We're getting together for lunch. We're having what we call a global lunch, and a friend of mine, a Hindu woman in the community, is giving us a huge dish of food. A restaurant in town that is operated by a Muslim man is giving us food. And a lot of little church ladies from all over the community are supplying a dish for food here, too. And so it's going to be a great event. And so anyway, that said, what can you expect at a Habitat worksite? Well, I can guarantee a few things. I can guarantee next year, during the 2015 Year of Interfaith Service, that we're going to open up sites for you as you network and work together to develop interfaith service coalitions, that you'll have an opportunity through Habitat to express that. I can promise you some sore muscles. I can promise you maybe a sliver or a blister. I can promise you maybe paint in your hair. And probably the biggest thing that I can promise you is that together you're going to change the life of a low-income family in our community. So talk amongst yourselves, get ready to work, and welcome to Habitat. Thank you all very much.
Good afternoon. My name's Stuart Ray. I'm the Executive Director at Guiding Light, and we're just across the street in the heart of Hartside. We're at 255 Division. We're an 83-year-old, what is known as a gospel rescue mission. But we welcome all faiths, all denominations at any point in time. We have two lines of work. We run an emergency shelter for homeless men. We focus only on men. And we also have a really faith-based residential substance recovery program. And if any of you have friends who are in substance recovery, you know that's probably the hardest work that anyone will ever do. Beginning 5 years ago, we took a very aggressive and focused approach to make sure that we were re-engaging men back in society, that we said to ourselves we were going to attempt to limit the number of times that homeless individuals were coming back through the missions. And we understand that we have the lowest recidivism rate in the county for those who are doing this kind of work. Over the last 2 years, we put almost 400 men back to work. We know that at least 80% of them are sustainable. 60% of the men that come into the Guiding Light mission have some kind of criminal felon background. The number of CSC, criminal sexual conduct individuals that we will service at the same time too. We have attempted to take a very strategic approach to this. We said to ourselves that where are the gaps in community? And we've tried to follow up on some of the work that Habitat's done. So we're in the housing business. So we know that individuals who have issues with criminal background, for example, have trouble finding rent for themselves or finding apartments to lease. We know that jobs can be very problematic for those individuals. So we work with a number of employers in town, and there are a number of well-respected employers who are working with that population too. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, we've said to ourselves, is God has given everyone very special gifts and talents. How do we help individuals take those barriers down? How do we cheerlead for them? How do we help move them forward? How do we help them make them contributing members of society again? So there are a number of places for individuals to help. We really want individuals who are willing to come and participate and walk with for long periods of time. And I'm sure I'm singing to the choir. You will learn that we are more alike than we are different, that we have more in common than we have differences. So we really encourage long-term participation from a sponsor standpoint, from a mentor standpoint, even individuals that come and provide Bible study or we do a lot of spiritual direction, actually, at Guiding Light Mission, helping individuals with their walk with God or whoever their higher power may be. But we're really looking for long-term relationships to allow people to feel secure, comfortable, and know who each other may be. So we're looking forward to this. And again, I think this is just a great opportunity for the community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Katie Gordon, and I'm the program manager at the Kaufman Interfaith Institute. And so something we wanted to focus on, especially today as we're introducing this Year of Interfaith Service, is the importance of a community that has already been ready for service already and has been a part of interfaith service. And that's a lot of young people in high schools and in colleges. So before the Kaufman Interfaith Institute, I was a student at Alma College, and I was kind of trained by the Interfaith Youth Corps, which is a national organization that's trying to build a movement of young people to be interfaith leaders that promote a conversation about religion that's more positive than negative and promotes cooperation rather than conflict. And so a core philosophy of a lot of their campaigns, like Better Together program and President Obama's Interfaith and Community Service Campus Challenge, encourages campuses to embrace their diversity and use that diversity as a way to promote conversation and cooperation towards the common good. And we learn how to use both of our similarities and differences to come together in service, action, and justice. And in my own Alma College experience, we actually started an interfaith alternative break where we came to Grand Rapids, and we visited 7 different houses of worship and 3 different nonprofits, all in a 36-hour period, and which was very overwhelming, but I think that kind of made it even more impactful. And so we went to Guiding Light. We saw what serving in and following Jesus Christ's example looks like in action. And we were welcomed into the masjid on East Paris, into the Sikh Gurdwara out in Ada, and we learned what the Baha'i tradition of serving the global community actually looks like. And so 12 of us walked away from that experience the first year that it happened with not only a better understanding of our own religious or non-religious traditions, but also those of our neighbors. So with young people as our future business, political, and social leaders, we think it's deeply important that they're taught how to build bridges rather than barriers of division. And so that's why we see an opportunity for interfaith service, especially with college and high school age students. So with that, I would like to introduce two students who have already been a part of these efforts in Grand Rapids. The first is Mohib Azim, who has also done Interfaith Youth Corps trainings. He is a junior at Grand Valley State University, president of the Muslim Student Association, and one of the founders of Grand Valley's first interfaith organization called Better Together at Grand Valley. And the other student is Maddie Reeves, who is a senior at Catholic Central High School, and she was a part of the Interfaith Youth Council that happened in 2012 with high schools from the greater Grand Rapids area. And both Maddie and Mohib are great examples of not only embracing their own religious traditions in a way of serving others, but also doing so within the pluralistic community and generation that we are all a part of. And now I will let Mohib tell a bit of his story.
So I'm Mohib, and I'm an electrical engineering major at Grand Valley. So please bear with me because I was finishing my assignments until 5 in the morning today, and I haven't had a sleep yet, and I had a class at 8 a.m. afterwards. So I'm an immigrant from Pakistan, and I came to the United States in 2012. So my story kind of starts from back when I was in Pakistan. Pakistan was actually one of the hardest hit countries because of 9/11, which is today. I wish that no one sees what I've seen with my own eyes happening there, and one of the prime ministers that was actually assassinated was right outside my house, and we lost. We could not, the life was not normal for at least 2 months after that incident. So, so I came to the United States in 2012. So back home, there is this theory that if anything bad happens, it's either a Jewish conspiracy or an American conspiracy. So coming to United States, I with my hard attitude, I always used to think that Jewish people were evil. I know it's not nice, but it's the bitter truth that I used to believe that. And I used to hate Americans because what I used to see on TV was people burning American flags. And I used to think that why are Americans not letting us live in peace? But when I came here, I was welcomed warm-heartedly, and in 2003 I met Noah Zucker. He was president of Hillel at the time, and I met him at the Interfaith Youth Corps conference, which was Better Together, my first year at Better Together. And at first I tried to distance myself, but then when I talked to him, we hung out and we got to know each other. And Noah would always, he was like an elder brother to me. He would listen to my problems. He would help me academically. And then it just struck to me one day. I was like, I don't know why I used to believe that. It was so, my heart took a U-turn, my brain took a U-turn. And now one of my best friends at Grand Valley State University are the Jewish people. And the Jewish community, whenever I see any of them, they welcome me and they always greet me and they always give me hugs, which is the best thing that it just changed my heart. So at Grand Valley State University, this is the first year that we are starting Better Together campaign with different faith-based organizations coming together and being a part of the Better Together team. My organization, the Muslim Students Association, and Shelby Bruce Loff, who's the president of Hillel, we are the officers, We are the founding officers of the Better Together at Grand Valley State University, and we are already planning events. And we know that by bringing people from different faiths on the same table, we could do, for the betterment of the community, we could do a lot of stuff. And we are already planning inclusivity, which is like a tea party, but it's different. I'm actually not, but Patrick is involved with it more than I am. Kaufman is more involved with it than I am because I'm more involved in engineering right now. And we would really love to see community coming out and helping us at Grand Valley as well, volunteering with us. And it would be a pleasure to see all you guys coming out. And I'm pretty sure that 2015, the Year of Interfaith, is going to be the best year of my life so far. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. As Katie said, I'm Maddie Reeves, and I am a senior right now at Catholic Central, right across the street. I'm really honored to be here speaking to you all today. I was kind of surprised to be asked, just because I feel like at first thought, I'm so young, and here I am speaking in front of all of you, but I'm here. And even though I am young, I've had so many experiences in the interfaith and intercultural sphere that I am so blessed to have. So I'd like to just share a couple of them with you today. So I've gone to Catholic schools my entire life except for 1 year, and that was my 6th grade year when I went to Blandford, and that's an environmental program. And that really opened my eyes because I suddenly had friends who weren't Catholic. That's all I knew. And I really didn't have any interaction with any other kinds of people. And so that opened my eyes to a whole new world and experience. And then I went back to middle school at All Saints Academy, and now I'm in high school at Catholic Central. But that experience really made me want to go out of my comfort zone and to learn more about others and to make friends different from myself. I think that having friends who are almost polar opposites from yourself can enrich you so much more. Well, not so much more, but in different ways than having friends similar to you. So I was a part of the Youth Interfaith Leadership Council in the year of 2012 with Mrs. Julie Mushing, who's over there, and it was a really awesome experience. I met kids from all different faiths from me, and after that, I really wanted to continue my work, and Julie presented me with an opportunity to apply for a fellowship through the Organization of a Democracy, and this fellowship is called Hope Not Hate. It was started after 9/11, and its purpose is for youth members of the United States to help come out and better U.S.-Muslim relations within the nation and our own communities. And so what happened was there were 7 of us who were selected to be in this fellowship, and we flew out to Washington, D.C. in March of my sophomore year. And we brainstormed for an entire weekend just in this house in the suburbs of D.C. with these people I had never met, no parents, nothing. It was quite the experience. But it was an awesome experience. And so what we did was we came up with our nationwide campaign, and that was to create a Facebook page called Hope Not Hate, and we would post articles and quotes and different stories about different people that were relevant to bettering U.S.-Muslim relations and the current situation at the time. And also on there we had a photo campaign where people would take pictures of themselves holding a sign that said, "I have hope not hate," to kind of join into this movement that we were trying to create. And we got over 300 submissions, so it was pretty successful for us. And then we also had to decide what we wanted to do for our local campaigns. I chose to go back to my middle school of All Saints Academy and speak to their 8th grade class that year about the current situation with U.S.-Muslim relations, and also just about the Muslim faith and culture, because as a student myself who's gone through the parochial school system, I really didn't have any knowledge of any faith traditions outside of the Catholic, because that was kind of the point of Catholic school, was to learn about your faith. And so I think that that really helped open up their eyes, and I'm glad that I could do that for them, because I would have loved to know more about different faiths that young. My second project was a conference, and it was a Youth Interfaith Leadership Council kind of spin-off project. And youth were invited to come, but a lot more people came from so many different age groups, and we spoke about just how to be better leaders in the interfaith and intercultural community. And finally, I produced a video project which I sent in to the UN for Day of the Girl, which took place in New York City, and it just kind of highlighted all of my work with Hope Not Hate and sent that message along. Now, this experience with Hope Not Hate was so great for me, and I am happy to say that I really truly believe that I opened a lot of eyes and moved many from indifference to action, and if not action, at least opinion formation on what am I going to do with my life, how am I going to get out of myself and my traditions and kind of open up to other people's. And so as I said, my journey began with the Interfaith Council, and that was really my foundation for learning communication and leadership. It went on to Hope Not Hate, and that kind of furthered those skills, but it also taught me organization, campaigning skills, and event coordinating and planning skills, which are coming in handy right now, so that's nice. And I'm really not afraid of people anymore, or using my voice. Through this entire process, I've really come to find who I am, what I believe, and what's really important to me. And so I hope to continue my involvement not only in this upcoming year of our interfaith service here in Grand Rapids and in my college experience, but for the rest of my life. So I'm so excited to see so many eager change makers here. And your guys' work really inspires me to continue with mine. And if I can be of any assistance in any events, or if you need another audience member at your events, please don't hesitate to ask me, talk to me. I'm so very excited for this upcoming year, and I'm really glad that I was able to come here today and help celebrate its kickoff with you all. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of your afternoon and your week, and thank you for listening.
You've heard about the impact on agencies and organizations in our community, and you've heard about the impact on students who want to be involved. And I know it will be impact for you as well. But this also has an impact on our entire community. And someone who's been involved in community concerns for all of his career is Fred Keller, president of Cascade Engineering, and also the co-chair of our business council, who is working with the business community to see how business and the community can come together behind these kinds of efforts. Right?
I don't know about you, but I kind of want to just soak in what Mohib and Maddie just said. It was remarkable. Thank you for that. Could we give them another round of applause? I think what it says is us older folks have got some real hope in this community because of what we're seeing and what we're experiencing from this younger generation. So, I mean, if you think about why community and why business and why now? You know, we hear all of the time about the struggles of the world. It's on our newspapers and on the TV and the radio all the time, and yet we understand that it's so big. It's so massive. We hear about the issues within the United States, about our problems, about where we've been, where we want to go, and how we have so little, seems like so little hope to get there sometimes. And yet the realization is that we can make a difference in our communities. And in fact, that's the the spirit of our nation is embedded in our community. So if we can't do it here, where else can we do it? It is the place where we have the opportunity to be able to work together, play together, share our joys and our sorrows together. Community is defined by us and who we interact with. And we have a tremendous community. So from the globalness of our concerns to the hope of being able to do something in community, I think that's inspiring. And to be able to have the young folks in our community a part of us and being able to have that kind of hope is tremendous. So, but why would business be involved? You know, there's an old saying in business, and when you're out with a customer or with a supplier or something, you don't talk about two things. What's that? Politics and religion, right? And it's an interesting area for us, and yet business has this wonderful opportunity because we have within our confines, within the offices, within our factories, within our areas that we're working, we always have this great diversity of folks. And we have an opportunity to figure out how to make that work. The United States has an opportunity to figure out how to make that work. As you think about the globalness of what we have and the problems we have around the world, the United States is not where we want it to be, but it also is a place that has this tremendous opportunity to embrace differences in a way which it can demonstrate to the world that we can make that difference. We can do that in our communities. Business can do that by starting with the folks that are in their four walls. But it's not likely, as you say, for business to do that. I can see the yellow lights going on in the back of your mind. Why would they do that? You're thinking about, well, what's the business, what's the business rationale? What's the business plan that the business leaders will accept? And that's a good question. But I think the real answer to that is that every business is led by a business leader. And that business leader has a heart. And what we are learning is that by including the heart in that business rationale is the way that we are able to address issues like, in our case, having folks from welfare have a career, or being able to address the issue of returning citizens coming out of prison, or addressing the issue of racism and declaring that we want to be an anti-racism organization. And these are not weaknesses in the business. These are strengths in the business. They build the character. And as we deal with differences and learn about the benefits of differences and the strengthening of the character of the business, that actually is a benefit. Maybe it doesn't show up on the bottom line. Maybe it does. But it doesn't matter because it's a benefit. It works to the benefit of society and of the world, and it helps all of us. So why do we need to address this now? Well, Doug said so. 2015 is the year. The mayor has said so. Proclaimed it as the year. Opportunity doesn't last forever. We have an opportunity as a community to seize this, to grab it, to do something with it. Not just patronize it, not just let it go by, but to do something. We have the stage is set. We've had a year of understanding. And I'm reminded, I was at our annual gathering that you did such a nice job, Imam Muraz, of explaining this continuum. And I'm going to get it wrong, but it starts with the idea from hatred to understanding, to acceptance, to love, peace, that continuum, however you define it, is true. And we need to march along that continuum. We've got work to do. Let's do it together, and let's do it now. Thanks.
I trust you're inspired. And now we have to get to work. So for the few minutes that remain, we planned there to be some discussions on your tables. So we'd like you to reflect on what you've heard, come up with ideas of how you might want to be involved, ideas of organizations that you're affiliated with or that you know of that have service needs, or organizations that might be willing to be a part of providing service. So there's a green card for at each of your places. There's also a postcard that's kind of our calling card for this project. There are multiple copies at the center of your table. There are more copies on the side, and even more. We've got a couple thousand of them, so take as many as you can use and pass this out and get the word out. And fill out this form. Let us know that you're interested, and let us know what you are involved with or organizations that might be interested, and comments. And in the comments, also think about people who might want to be invited to another session where, as we roll this out, so that as we do our planning, we're ready to go full force in January of 2015. So discuss at your table, fill out your cards, and thank you for being here.
They already know. Tell us, share with us. What do you think?